Welcome back, everyone, once again to a new installment of Screenplay Rewind. I'm Geoff,
I'm Ron.
and this is about a movie that we're talking about, right? Is that what these are about? I don't. Every
Something.
time, so like here's the problem with us recording this podcast. So usually we either record them like the day before they drop, or we're like prepping for something and we'll like record them like somewhat early, and I can never keep track. I always have to ask you for recording. So are we recording about a movie this week?
I think we're recording about a podcast I listened to and then told you about later. I think that's what this episode is.
I bet that podcast will be higher quality than ours. It's probably a good call.
Welcome to the first episode of our new podcast, Podcast Rewind.
Screenplay Eject. Oh, shit. But yeah, we're going to be talking about My Cousin Vinny, one of the most iconic films of the early 90s, I would say.
Oh, my God. It's so 90s and I love it.
Oh, it's so fucking 90s, man.
I love it.
A period in time where Ralph Macchio got higher billing than Marissa Tomei. That is just a sweet spot in history for you.
Well, it's her second movie?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Her second movie, and she can already outact the Karate Kid by a country mile.
Is he the Karate Kid?
Isn't Ralph Macchio the Karate Kid?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Yeah, he's the Karate Kid.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I didn't know that. I know him from this movie. Yeah, I know him from this movie. Yeah.
Oh, he is like the Karate Kid. I think that's like all. Like, I think people forget he's even in My Cousin Vinny because he's just the Karate Kid.
I thought that was Jaden Smith.
Bro. You actually broke my brain for a second. I forgot that Karate Kid existed.
Really?
Yeah, I actually kind of liked that movie when I watched it a long time ago.
I screened it. I didn't think it was bad, but man, people hated it. I don't know. I love Jackie Chan, so.
Yeah, Jackie Chan's one of the GOATs, so I don't blame you. But yeah, I think we have a question first. Would you like to explain what our question prompt for this week's going to be? And again, if you ever want a prompt or question read by Ron and myself on the podcast, just hit us up, screenplayrewind@gmail.com, or on Twitter @SPRFilmcastle. What you got for us, Ron?
It comes from my wife, Christina.
Okay. This is back-to-back submissions.
It is. Chris. Bobby quit, and she started, and she don't even listen to us.
Picking up the fucking slack, Bobby. Fucker.
So, Deserted Island TV series. If you can only ever watch one TV series the rest of your life, what would you watch?
It's so tough. So you told me about this in the green room, and I've been thinking about it for the last like 5 minutes. And there's like
if you need a moment, I have an answer.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Yeah, I thought about it, and I realized that a lot of the things that I had come up with, I actually haven't watched in some time, which is probably not a good sign for the one TV show I can watch for the rest of my life. So I think it would probably have to be Mythbusters.
That's a solid answer, because there's a bajillion episodes, and it's a pretty light show as far as you could have it on in the background. You could like fully focus on it. You could half pay attention to it, while you're figuring out your hut on the deserted island. I don't know what our setup is, but
yeah, and I'm on a deserted island. They test deserted island myths.
That's true. Yeah, you could.
They survive for like a week on an island with nothing but duct tape.
Yeah.
So it's
you
useful.
Pick your show. The show you pick is Survivor, so you can figure out how to have a reality TV show on the island, and then you're just absolutely meta about it.
But, the episode where they're on the deserted island, by the way, with nothing but duct tape, is incredible, because not only do they use it for everything, they make their hut, they make their hammocks, their nets to fish and catch food. I believe they make their boat to escape out of just sticks and whatever they can find in duct tape, and then all that. But it also just trashes reality TV shows. They make so much fun of Survivor and all of those type shows, and like at the end when they're trying to escape, someone just like surfs by them, and when the camera pans out, they're like at a resort in Hawaii, and they're just like down the beach from it, and they've been trying to survive on this island.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think I would pick Batman the Animated Series.
That's a pretty solid pick.
Because I could never be bored of it because it is just one of my favorite things to ever exist. And likewise with like Mythbusters, you can like really focus up on that show, or you can watch it, just kind of tuned out like a little kid would be, and it's still great. Just because it works for 80-year-olds, it works for 8-year-olds. It's just one of the best pieces of fiction of all time.
It'll excite you, it'll thrill you, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry.
Yeah, all kinds of different genres in there. Like
it's got all kinds of stuff going on.
Like think of like Over the Edge versus Almost Got 'Em, like that tone shift. And I think they're both
or Favor for the Joker or whatever it's called, the Road Rage episode.
Yeah. What a brilliant fucking piece of art is that show.
And what it did for Batman's mythology.
Yeah.
I mean, it created Harley Quinn.
It became, so Batman first dropped, I think, in 1939, and you have a cartoon come out in the early 90s, what is it, like 50 years later, and it becomes the new Bible for the property.
Pretty much.
And that's just astounding to be able to rewrite character origins, like have new characters like Harley Quinn, like you talked about, be introduced off of it. Just fucking masterclass, man.
Batman is my favorite. Batman is my favorite DC character, and that is my favorite Batman out of every Batman that's ever been. Is Batman animated series, because I think of him as the Gray Knight. Like he's not the White Knight like Adam West, and he's not the Dark Knight, because I mean we just keep getting darker and darker to the point that it's now okay. Like he's killing cops and shit. Which I just don't care for. But like in Batman animated series, he's right in the middle of those two. He's tough when he needs to be, but there's like the stuff with Ace and Justice League Unlimited.
Oh my god,
stuff like that. Oh, yeah. Dude, like
That's
especially
actually,
any of them that have to do with kids. Any of the episodes that have to do with kids is just amazing. And I don't know. I always liked him being in the middle more than anything else.
That's actually one thing I will give major kudos to the new Pattinson movie about. All right, we had to have a pause in the recording. What was I talking about, Ron?
I was hoping you remembered.
We're talking about Batman. Pattinson.
Yeah.
Brief. Okay, so you talked about how one of your favorite things about the animated series was how it kind of like bridged the gap between being like too light and too dark. That's actually one of the things I liked about the Pattinson movie is they actually had jokes. Like you remember for a while there, it was just like Batman v Superman doesn't have a single joke in it, and it was just like brooding and just dark, like unnecessarily.
The movie was so exhausting.
Like it felt like it was 5 hours, even though it was just a 2.5 hour movie. Like I like some of the levity they have in the new Batman with Pattinson.
I watched it. I don't really remember it.
I watched it a second time a few weeks ago, and
I don't know if I could watch it a second time.
I liked it better on the rewatch. I thought it was decent the first time I watched it. I liked it better the second time I watched it, and they're apparently going to be running that simultaneously with a new version that's actually intertwined with the new James Gunn stuff. So I don't really think it like is hurting anything as far as like the earlier versions with Affleck, like where like you said, like he's straight up the Punisher in that movie, and that is not the character.
Yeah, that's not the character. Incidentally, speaking of, I have we're about halfway through. We're about an hour into Batman '89 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So kids seem to be enjoying it.
Nice.
But yeah, I just after seeing the Flash trailer on the Super Bowl, I couldn't help it. I had to go back. My favorite on-screen suit, my favorite on-screen Batmobile, just in action. We got he just got to the Batcave. It's my favorite Batcave besides animated series also.
Yeah, the Batcave's pretty sick.
So yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's just as legendary as I remember it being. Because I saw that movie in theaters when I was 4 years old, and I cannot be more excited to go see the fucking Flash in theaters, to see Michael Keaton back in the suit, back in the car, on screen again.
It's gonna be awesome.
34 years later.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick. I think the movie itself even outside of Michael Keaton, might be decent as well. Because I actually thought the teaser stuff they were showing, even outside of the Batman stuff, was pretty cool. At the very least, it was a well-edited teaser. Because I was like, what the fuck's going on in this movie?
It's a well-made trailer. I have this sick feeling that was all third act stuff we saw.
I saw on Twitter people were talking about, I don't remember if it was Gunn, but somebody involved in it was saying that the stuff you saw in the teaser was none of the third act stuff.
Really?
Which is bonkers to me. Yeah, because I thought the same thing, because you see just like crazy epic shit happening in glimpses.
For people that don't know, the reason we're transitioning into The Flash is because James Gunn announced that this Flash movie is setting up their entire new DC universe from here. Everything is starting from here and moving forward, which makes sense. I mean, if you have Flashpoint Paradox in the works, that's a good place to burn it to the ground and start over. So that's exactly what happens in that movie. So
will likely be, I would imagine, the last time you see Ezra Miller as that character, because they want to jump ship as soon as possible on him, understandably so. But yeah, I think the movie looks actually really good. I'm excited to see it. I don't have the same nostalgia for Batman 89, and even I'm excited to see him reprise that character. So I think it's just gonna be a really, really fun time.
Whether he was your favorite or not, Michael Keaton is so legendary and larger than life in that role. You can't help but be excited.
Yeah,
you know?
I like Michael Keaton as Batman more than I like his movies where he was Batman, mostly because I just don't really care for Tim Burton.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some goddamn My Cousin Vinny, man.
Oh my god.
So like real quick, we usually like kind of like queue up what led to the selection. So what led you to select My Cousin Vinny for the show?
So I always try to tie in with whatever's happening, whatever movies we've been watching or holidays. And I just couldn't think of anything Valentine's Day related. And I had been listening. I listened to the Directors Guild of America, the DGA podcast. And they had fucking, I just blanked, Jonathan Lynn on there talking about My Cousin Vinny. And
who's the director, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm picking My Cousin Vinny. And if I have to tell myself I'm tying into Valentine's Day, that's got a subplot of him and Mona having issues. So there we go. It's loose. It's a loose, tenuous connection, but it's a fucking solid movie. So
yeah, I also just like, so we were talking about earlier, just like the weird period in time where the Karate Kid had higher billing than Marissa Tomei, and it's also the period of time where Joe Pesci was A-list for about 10 years. Like, that's pretty awesome, because
he was pretty much at the height of his powers in this. He was a force for a while. Yeah,
I think this was, what year was Goodfellas? I'm not sure if this was before or after Goodfellas, because I think he won the Academy Award for Goodfellas. Let's see. So this was what, 92?
Goodfellas was 90. So he was coming hot off of Goodfellas.
Yeah, this was him in his absolute like heyday.
Because if this came out in 92, this would have started filming in 91.
Yeah. So this was prime Pesci, man. It's like, man, what a run. Like, think like Goodfellas, Casino, My Cousin Vinny, like Home Alone. Like, he was just all over the place.
Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag. I fucking love Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag.
Yeah, he's just everywhere.
Bum 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 bum. Dude, and then when we get to talking about the cast, if you ever watched a movie in the 90s, you have seen every one of these fucking people. Like, even James Rebhorn is in there. Rebhorn, whatever. I know him best from Independence Day. He's the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
And he is a dick in that movie.
Yeah, and they also just inserted him into the Lethal Weapon sequels as comedic relief. Because
really?
He was Joe fucking Pesci. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know about you, but I have this movie on VHS. The poster that's on IMDb is actually the box art also for the VHS. And that tape is about worn out. I have watched this movie on repeat so many times. And last night I watched it upstairs in my office and I was laughing out loud in places. It's just so good. Still,
yeah,
I know everything that happens in this movie. I can quote it, and I was laughing out loud in this room by myself.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Probably, I would say one of the best put together films we've actually had on this podcast, because I don't have a single negative note. It's just My Cousin Vinny. Like, all the outside of just being funny, like, you get like sucked into the legal drama aspect of it by the end of it. Like, also spoilers for My Cousin Vinny. Like, by the end of it, like, you're emotionally invested in this fucking court case.
Yeah,
because you're just along for the ride, and you just like see like the ins and outs of him trying desperately to make it as a trial attorney, having no experience with it. And it's also like, I think it's genius making him his cousin, because he's, you know, like there's a lot of legal dramas, especially from the 90s, where, especially from like the defense attorney side, where you couldn't really care less of the outcome of the case, because usually the main characters were the attorneys, but they didn't really make you like become invested in the defendant. So like in here, you know, it's just like, also, can you think of a more Ron and Jeff way to go to jail than accidentally confessing to a fucking murder in Alabama?
I shot the clerk. Like,
just like, that is absolutely something that would happen to us.
That's why we never over a can of tuna.
We never drive through Alabama. We just stay clear.
Do you know what the legal age of execution is down here?
10?
Oh God.
Yeah, let's do the rundown real fast. So you mentioned Jonathan Lynn is a director here. Does he have any other notable directorial entries in his resume? Like, did he just write Clue, or was he also a director?
No, he directed Clue.
He directed Clue. Okay, yeah, Clue's amazing.
And he directed the whole 9 yards, if that means anything for you. He directed the Ferris Bueller TV series, it looks like.
Fighting Temptations. I never saw the Fighting Temptations.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I remember hearing about this movie's existence, but I wasn't aware that it was one of his.
The one that surprised me was Dale Launer, the writer.
What's that one?
The writer is Dale Launer, I'm going to say.
Okay.
The one that surprised me, because there's nothing in here I really recognize except I've never seen it, but I know it's a legendary movie. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels was written by him.
Okay.
Which, if you don't know, stars Michael Caine and Steve Martin, and they're both con men that is trying to. Here's how you know it's an old movie. They're only trying to get $50,000 from this lady, and they have a bet on who can do it.
I also like that it's directed by Frank Oz.
Yes.
And Emperor Palpatine is in the cast.
Yes.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, Yoda directing. Fucking Yoda. It was Yoda all along.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. It's, like I said, it is a legendary movie.
I'm interested, especially just for like Steve Martin.
Michael Caine and Steve Martin.
That's an awesome combo.
Directed by Frank Oz. I'd
watch the fuck out of that.
But yeah.
And then we've obviously mentioned Joe Pesci multiple times, but Marissa Tomei, like, you talked a little bit at the ending of the last episode about like what led to her, because this was her second performance, you said?
Yes. They could not cast Mona Lisa. They could not find anyone that had the right chemistry with Joe Pesci. They couldn't find anyone they liked. And out of frustration, I forget what the movie was, but Jonathan Lynn, out of frustration, walked off of his set to clear his head, went to the set of another movie where a friend of his was directing, and Marissa Tomei was in the middle of her scene. And he got to watching her, and when he was done, he was like, "Who is she?" And his buddy was like, she's been in a bunch of TV stuff. She's basically a nobody that we cast for this film. And he's like, "She's a nobody? She's a natural." And they're like, no, we love to have her, but she doesn't, like, you haven't seen her before, if you're trying to think of who she is. And he's like, "I think she's my Mona Lisa." And no one wanted her. The producers said no, studios said no, everybody said no. and he fought for her to get her into this movie. And they were like, okay, fine, screen tester. So they screen test her, and Joe Pesci was like, we need her. And he was like, I know we need her. And everyone else still said no. And they're like, guys, if we don't have her as Mona Lisa, we don't have this movie. And eventually they said yes and brought her in. And Jonathan Lynn says in the DGA podcast I listened to that there are scenes that she outacts Joe Pesci in this movie. Yeah. Like, she does so good in this movie.
Academy Award winner Joe Pesci in his prime
is outacted by someone in her second film.
Yeah,
she
in
was
her second film.
She was cast while acting in her first film.
And it's insane too, because he absolutely crushed it with selecting her. Because I don't think this movie works without her at all. Like, I think he had a really, really good read on the story and the characters, because like their dynamic is the movie.
Yes.
And for her second performance to walk away with not only a nomination, which would be like crazy, but to win too off of this, she's just fantastic.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying. Like, I don't have a single negative note for this movie. Like, what is there to criticize? Because it just executes like as the legal drama aspect of it. You're invested in the characters. Like, everyone that is supposed to be likable is likable, and their dynamic between the two leads is just great. It's funny as fuck, even if you know the jokes, like you said.
I don't think this movie was like super wildly successful. I think it did well critically. It did well with the audience, and it made some money. But here's the thing: it doesn't cost any money to make this movie.
Yeah,
so
I think it was like a $10 million budget and then like a 60+ return.
Yeah, any movie it made was return. You know, they built a one-room courthouse in the middle of the summer in Alabama with no air conditioner. That's what the courtroom is.
3/4 the budget was just Joe Pesci's salary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this movie was basically destined to succeed with the cast that it has, the attention to detail and everything. They cut the thing that gets me before we move on to the cast. I meant to mention this a minute ago. The editing in this movie, because I think he said they cut like 30 minutes out of this movie or 20 minutes out of this movie. And this movie breezes by and it flows. You know, it doesn't feel like anything's missing or anything's cut out. Apparently, there's a number of scenes with him talking with his mom on the phone and things like that were cut out.
I think that's smart, because I think you need to have screen time for the two defendants early on. But then I think it's smart to realize that the real driving force in the movie is Pesci and Tomei.
And that's exactly what it does.
On them. Yeah.
It starts out
focusing on them as far as him trying to establish himself as not only an attorney, which is, something he's been working for several years. He what was it, his 6th time on the bar exam actually passing and becoming an attorney?
Yeah.
He's not only out to prove himself, but he's trying to save the life of his cousin, his family,
Yeah. So that was one thing, too, they were trying to figure out. They didn't know how to get what the hook would be to get Joe Pesci in. And that was him talking to his mom, finding out that they have an attorney in the family. Because what would be the logical way to bring him in with the fact that he's basically not a trial attorney yet? Because that's a big thing, right? I mean, his cousin's life is on the line, and he's never really been in a courtroom. Yeah. So they couldn't figure out why would he be in the courtroom then. And it comes down to how much defense attorney costs. We have an attorney in the family. It's My Cousin Vinny. And, like you said, eventually, about the second act, we transition completely away from the defendants and focus basically just on Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei. And like you said, that's the smart thing to do. Not that Ralph Macchio and Mitchell Whitfield were bad or anything. They're not what the movie's about. They're the setting for the movie. The movie is about Vinny and Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just some amazing foreshadowing and plot setup that is a little bit of like sleight of hand, which is like ironic because there's like a whole scene about sleight of hand that Vinny talks to
to
Bill about. But how clever is it how they set up towards the beginning that Mona Lisa is an expert on cars.
Right.
And then you forget about it until it comes back around the third act, and it's like the whole thing that saves the case for them. And it's just like well executed, because it seems like a little bit odd when they start talking about like her
mud in the tires.
Like with the whole thing with showing how smart she is with cars early on, but then you forget about it because you just kind of get sucked in by them trying to do whatever they can to get these kids out of jail, and just expert plot setup that doesn't come across as like contrived or out of left field.
Yeah, what feels really good in this movie is how everyone in this movie, including Vinny, underestimates her. And then in that final scene when she saves the day, like,
that's awesome.
It feels so good. Like, he respects her more than everyone else does. Everyone else is just like a chick that knows about cars. What? And then but he respects that knowledge, but he's still like, no, I'm going to do this on my own. I don't need help. Blah, 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 blah. And then at the end of the movie, when she has her moment, and I love that they call back to their argument about the faucet in the hotel room, because they play that out they play that out identical to the scene in the hotel room. That's my dad's favorite line in the whole movie, by the way.
Really? Oh, I also love. So we'll talk more about the cast in a second, but the prosecutor is the fucking the antagonist coach from the Mighty Ducks. I was like, what have I seen this dude in? And
really?
I was obsessed with the Mighty Ducks when I was a little kid for whatever fucking reason. I watched that movie all the time, and I was like, what have I seen this dude in? And he's the antagonist fucking coach of the Mighty goddamn Ducks, and I was like, yes. See, that's that dude.
Oh shit! I didn't know he passed away in 2005. I know him from nothing I can tell you about. Like, I swear to God, he's in everything. He showed up in everything in the 90s.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he's even in Walker, Texas Ranger. Like, he's in all kinds of shit. So I know him from literally everything and nothing, because I can't tell you exactly where all I've seen him. The thing that I mainly know him from is this movie. The thing that I can identify is this movie, but he's even in like Twilight Zone stuff and everything. Yeah. But it's been so long since I've seen the Mighty Ducks. I had forgotten all about that.
Yeah, I watched the fuck out of it. For whatever reason, I was like, when you're a little kid and you just have like random phases of being really into a thing that you completely forget exists later on, because you just kind of phase out of it. I was like, because of the Mighty Ducks, I started to like really get interested in hockey, and I couldn't give less of a shit about hockey now. It was just a weird thing because of the Mighty Ducks that I got really invested in hockey, only for it to completely drift away from my brain later on. But yeah, I was like, that's holy shit. I was the bad guy in the Mighty Ducks. Sure enough.
Nice. Yeah. He's awesome in this movie, dude.
Yeah, he's great.
And the thing is, it's so nice to have a movie where the bad guy is just doing his job.
Yeah, and he's still likable. He's not like the only antagonist as far as the story is just them screwing over these two guys because they're from out of town. That's basically like
pretty much.
That's the only gist of them even aggressively trying to fucking kill them is because they're from New York.
Yeah, you're from New York. You're from out of town. You killed a good old boy. There's no way this is not going to trial.
Also, by the way, the first like 15 to 20 minutes of this movie hits so differently with 2023 eyes, and how people kind of like walk on eggshells as far as cops are concerned.
Right.
The beginning of this movie kind of like, oh fuck, like did it kind of sit differently with you watching it this time?
Yeah, it was a little weird
because there's a lot of it's played for laughs. But like watching it with 2023 eyes, you're just like, oof.
Yeah.
You don't view cops the same way you used to in the 90s, and it just kind of adds like a whole different lens of like, not in a bad way. It just adds just like this little hint of queasiness to watching the way the cops are responding to these two dudes at the beginning, and it's kind of fucked up because like the sheriff guy clearly could tell that Bill is confused as fuck about what's happening while he's confessing, and
But he's
he still
confessing.
just commits it. Yeah, but he's still confessing, so he still commits it for the evidence in the case against him, and it's just like, y'all some assholes, man. Like, there's a lot of fucking circumstantial evidence that you guys are gonna actually electrocute these dudes for. It's like, okay.
I still think it'd be cheaper to fix it than just keep running it that way, but the electric chair, it ain't working so good anymore.
The glee of the prison transport dude, the driver, as he's like, yeah, the jail got condemned, so y'all going to state. And it's just like, oh, gross. The
Dude,
glee.
That scene when Vinny shows up for the first time talking to Stan, and Stan thinks he's like the third guy brought into the jail cell. Look, man, it's your ass, not mine. Like,
Either way, you're gonna get fucked, man.
I didn't come down here just to get jerked off. Like,
But yeah, the writing in
double
that scene
speak.
it's hysterical.
The double speak is so good.
That is a scene that would be written by like Mel Brooks.
Yes.
Like just slew of double entendre with every line is great.
But I mean, as with that accent and him being a Brooklynite and with the situation, like, it all works perfectly. Like, that's the stereotype, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mitchell Whitfield, we haven't actually named yet, plays Stan. Dude has quite the voice acting career.
Really? What are some of his other roles?
He's in Legend of Korra.
Ooh.
It says he's in 4 episodes of that. The thing that caught my attention, did you ever see TMNT?
Yes.
He's Donatello.
Really?
Yep. He plays him again in the game.
Nice.
He does some.
I can see that. I can see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking about like his voice for it.
Yeah. He's. I guess there's a show called Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. He's in 2 episodes of that, but yeah, he's Norbert in the Angry Beavers.
No shit. That's Norbert?
Oh, it says 1 episode though. Norbert Foster Beaver. I don't know what that means. But yeah, I never watched it. I couldn't really stand it. But Duckman, he's in Duckman. Like, he's in quite a few. He's in Doc McStuffins. I watched the shit out of Doc McStuffins with my kids.
Yeah, crazy.
Lego
Yeah,
Jurassic World. Vampirina is a big deal right now. He's in 73 episodes of Vampirina.
Not familiar with Vampirina. What's that?
Nothing good. It's a kids show.
I just want to see that on the poster. Nothing good.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing good. It's I'm send it to you in the IMDb to you in Discord. It's the poster for it's all you need to know.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the epitome of nothing good.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It also got me attention.
Got me sound like you use some of them Alabama prosecutings down there.
My Oklahoman's coming out. Transformers Robots in Disguise. He's in 69, the sexiest number of episodes to be in.
Oh yes.
Episodes of that is Fix It, Toolbox, and Cinch. I don't know those Transformers at all.
See, that's the career I'd like to do, is like voice acting. Just like show up in your fucking sweatpants,
Right?
record for a couple hours, peace out, done for the week on your job. It's like, fuck yeah, dude, I'd do that shit all day.
So yeah, he's in quite a bit of video games and TV series. Some of them are just one-offs. Some of them are 60, 70 episodes. So he's had quite the voice acting career since My Cousin Vinny, it seems.
That's awesome.
One of my favorite parts of this movie, oh my God, Fred Gwynn is amazing as the judge.
He's so good.
He's just as good as the judge as he is Herman Munster, dude.
Yeah, like you think about, so the first couple of scenes when he has to be incredibly intimidating to Joe Pesci, like Herman Munster is scary,
dude.
It's like,
I know. He, as Herman Munster, he's such a lovable dope, and in this movie he is terrifying, and he's such a dick.
Yeah, like he has to be able to command a room, because that's half the fucking job of a judge. Right. You have to be able to command the room, and he fucking does. Like he is a goddamn presence in this movie. You're just like, that's Herman Munster, man.
Yeah, he's not a character. He's a force of goddamn nature sitting in the end of the room.
Yeah, he really is. And he's like he's an incredibly important character to cast for this too, because when you're having like the kind of like progressions of a courtroom drama like this does, you spend a lot of time with the judge, so you really need to like kind of knock it out of the park with the judge casting as far as what you want him to be for the movie, and like they crushed it picking him.
Jerry Gallo's dead. I'm aware of that. I'm Jerry Gallo with a C.
Yeah, he's great. Did you ever see Pet Cemetery?
No.
He probably his like second most iconic role is, you ever hear like the dead is better line from that? He's the so he played, oh god, what is the name of the neighbor? Pulling it up. Yeah, Judd. He plays the basically the neighbor that kind of like, do you know the basic plot of Pet Cemetery? Where the
Not really.
So the plot of Pet Cemetery is this family is living at a house that's next to a highway, and their little kid gets hit by a semi truck.
Jesus.
They bury him in the pet cemetery that is like a tribal haunted burial ground thing, and their little kid comes back to life. So he plays Judd, who is the neighbor who like basically tells him about the pet cemetery, and it's just a really iconic performance from him because like they even had the line in the fucking remake of the sometimes dead is better, but he's doing that Alabama kind of accent for it.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to send you a clip from it, but yeah, he's just fucking awesome. Love that dude.
This is one of the last performances he ever gave. He passed away in 1993.
Yeah, it's a shame because, man,
what a loss. Because my God,
he's awesome.
Like, he's got a ton of roles underneath his belt. But I watched the shit. I was never an Addams Family person. I was a Munsters person, and I watched the shit out of the Munsters, and I watched the shit out of this movie. So Fred Gwynne is a name that I know, and I know well.
Yeah, had underrated range, I would say.
Yeah, I think he was very underrated, very underappreciated, as much as he was appreciated, you know?
Yeah, just people didn't really, I think, understand the complexity of roles that he was capable of if you compare this with the Munsters.
Yeah.
Because, like, and two, he has to kind of, like, bring the performance back around towards the end, where he kind of comes around on Vinny towards the end, you know?
Yeah.
And he becomes likable again after being like just a fucking scary son of a bitch at the beginning.
Are you on drugs? the conversation I alluded to last time we talked, there is a conversation he has with Vinny in this that actually took place between Joe Pesci and Jonathan Lynn. So when they were talking about the script, Joe Pesci, referring to the characters Bill and Stan, calls them yutes. And Jonathan Lynn goes, I'm sorry, what was that? And he's like, what was what? I'm sorry, that word you just used, what was it? And he's like, I don't know, what word did I use? And he's like, did you say utes? He's like, yeah, 2 utes. And he's like, what the hell is a ute? And he's like, young people. He's like, youths? And he's like, yeah, utes. And he just could not get that conversation out of his head and wrote it into the script.
That's great.
So he said, when these 2 utes went into sack of suds, I'm sorry, what was that? And then when the 2 defendants went into the sack of suds. By the way,
one of my favorite jokes of the whole movie is like, oh, you were serious about that? And then it hard cuts to him back in fucking jail. That is genius.
That's one of the many times I burst out laughing out loud.
Yeah, I think that's the scene that I laughed at the most, was just that genius hard cut to him sitting in the back of the fucking prison transport again.
You were serious about that? We talked about Lane Smith, who plays Jim Trotter, antagonist of the movie, but they had their origin stories, and what's funny is you just kind of like, oh yeah, sure, I've seen these types of movies, these types of TV shows. No, he seems to be genuinely trying to do good as a prosecutor, and when we have all evidence to the contrary that these kids do it, he immediately drops all charges.
Yeah.
And then Joe Pesci's story ends up being true, we find out, because Marissa Tomei calls the other judge that talked him into being a lawyer to help him out. So that couldn't happen unless Joe Pesci's story was true. And as much as he's been lying in this movie, you think he's just making it up in that scene. So that's pretty awesome. Austin Pendleton as the public defender. Okay, Austin Pendleton's a legend in his own right? But I know the two are not connected, and they're riffing on other things, especially the fact that he's a giant rooster. But in Futurama, every time they bring in the public defender, and he's got that southern drawl to him, where they're obviously playing on Foghorn Leghorn, but I can't help but think of John Gibbons, public defender from My Cousin Vinny, every time I see that character in Futurama. Because
I got a little bit nervous. I'll get better.
He just keeps acting like he knocked it out of the park. He proves the prosecution's point.
What does he say? When he's like, man, that guy's a tough cookie.
That guy's a tough nut to crack, or whatever he said. Yeah. It's just like, woo. Like, what?
Yeah. Funny as fuck.
Bruce McGill as Sheriff Farley is in every TV show and movie from the 90s. He makes a pass somewhere.
One of the most recognizable faces of any character actor of all time is Bruce McGill. It's
yes.
Like, that's like the ultimate. I've seen that guy
somewhere.
He's like the ultimate that guy.
He's always memorable. You always know him when you see him.
Yeah.
But he's never like the main guy.
Probably his most famous role is Animal House. I think he plays D-Day in Animal House, but that was like, God, he was much younger. He's like probably unrecognizable compared to like he just had like such a run as a character actor in the 80s and 90s.
I love that dramatic pause he has, and he's like, on a hunch, I took it upon myself. So look up, he has that pause in there when he's on the stand again.
Yeah.
And then Maurice Shaken is in a bunch of stuff. He's the guy that the public defender is like, aha, you didn't have your glasses on. They're for reading. Well, what are their eye colors? Brown, hazel green.
Hazel green.
So good. And then stare he just gives him. When I think of a little old lady, I just wanted to point her out because I don't know her from anything else. When I think of a little old lady from the Deep South, I think of Pauline Myers as Constance with the super thick glasses.
Can Miss Riley and Miss Riley alone clarify how many fingers I'm holding up?
And then I pointed out James Rebhorn.
Also, another dude has been in 1,000 things that you can. Yes. He's one of those that guys. Yeah.
Same with Rainer Shane. And then one of my favorite subplots of the entire movie is Chris Ellis as JT.
Yeah.
when he finally just tackles him.
Yeah.
And takes the money. There's something about the way Joe Pesci lunges at him that I bust out laughing without fail every time.
He does like a full body sideways lunge to take this dude out while punching him. It's so funny.
There's something about the way it looks like he's gonna walk past him, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere he just lunges to the left.
Yeah.
He just stands up and takes the money. But that when they first meets him, he's like, so let's see. Then my options are you can kick my ass, or I can kick the shit out of you. And he's just
collect my $200.
Yeah. It's like, you like to renegotiate as you go along, don't you? And then there's the guy with the neck brace.
And then he eventually just catches Vinny on just like the absolute worst time. He's just the ultimate wrong place at the wrong time, bro.
I love okay, so when he finally just body slams JT like Snorlax,
it was super effective.
So it really was. I'm pretty sure he did shit himself. So at that point we've had the steam whistle, we've had the pigs, we've had
the train
twice, right?
Yeah. Usually it's at 4:10 on the dot.
Yesterday morning, you said that train coming through at 5 a.m. was highly unusual. Yes, sir. It's usually 4:15. So we've had that. We've had the owl screeching in the woods.
You know what's funny is that running joke of the stuff waking them up at like 4 o'clock in the morning was the main running joke that I remembered, because I told you like I remembered loving this movie, but I just hadn't seen it in so long.
Right.
The one gag I remembered specifically was the ongoing joke about them always being woken up by something fucking stupid at 5 o'clock in the morning.
One of the other things that I burst out laughing at really hard was it's so romantic hanging out in the car, sleeping in the car underneath the stars. I don't see no stars. Immediate lightning flash and crack of thunder, and it just starts pouring rain.
Yeah.
And so he's gone through all that, everything with the judge. At this point, he and Mona Lisa have been having issues, right? And then JT is just like, right here, I got your $200, and he just lunges at it.
It's so good.
Oh god, it's so good, dude. One thing I wanted to talk about is the owl. That's my favorite thing that wakes him up in the middle of the night is the owl.
That owl from the depths of hell.
Dude, when he just comes out in his underwear and his leather jacket and just blasts 4 rounds off into the woods. And then he has that gait to him. Like, yeah, I fucking showed them when he walks back in. Jonathan Lynn has talked about everyone that talks to him about My Cousin Vinny wants to ask him about the owl puppet. And it's not a puppet. It's a real owl. Yes. And everyone assumes it's a puppet because he comes out guns blazing and the owl turns and looks at him. And then it has that perfect moment where it looks back at the camera and starts sidestepping. That's a real owl. And when they got that take, they had been struggling to get this owl to cooperate all day long. And when they got that take, he was like, oh my God, that is a 1 in a million shot. Because the owl
was it an actual sound from the owl, or was the sound effect also?
I forget what the sound effect is, but the owl doesn't actually make a noise.
Okay. I was curious if it was an actual, just like, it sounds just like a hell screech, man. It's just like, what is this owl? It sounds like a demon.
When they started working with it, the trainer could not get it to open its mouth. They couldn't get it to do anything. And it was actually Jonathan Lynn that noticed anytime it thought it was going to get food from the trainer, it would open its mouth. So they just kept tricking it into thinking it was about to be fed. And then they added the sound effect in post. But dude, the way it played along, because it plays along so good, everyone's always like, I want to know about the owl puppet. And he's like, it's not a puppet, it's a real owl. And he said it blows away everyone.
Yeah, that owl should have gotten the best supporting actor nod.
When he just comes out in the background, the camera changes focus to him just blasting off rounds into the woods. I can't even talk about it without laughing.
Just in the middle of the fucking woods, too, at nothing in particular.
The speed at which he fires off all the rounds, too. Oh my God. I can't even talk about it. Every time I've tried to talk about it, I just busted out laughing so far. I can't. It's so good.
I also love the I want to know how many Goodwills the costuming department went to find that red suit that he wears. That shit.
Are you mocking me?
It's next level, dude. I don't even know what fucking event that suit was.
He looks like the Mad Hatter. Like,
yeah.
Which, that's a movie I want to see. Joe Pesci is the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, I'd watch that shit.
Oh my God, dude, this movie. We haven't even talked about the actual movie, the way it comes together. But yeah, it actually, here's the thing, as funny as this movie is, it's actually a really good courtroom procedural movie.
Yeah, dude, towards the end, when they announced when the charges are dropped, it's like
you want to stand up and cheer.
It's an actual like audience cheer moment, and it's just you're like and I think it's like really like cool too that they have like that scene about it, but there's a lot of sleight of hand happening in this movie where it seems like it's, you know, just on the surface this kind of like goofy comedy, but for you to be so invested in the outcome of the trial, like it works really, really well on that on those terms, you know, of just not being just a comedy, but like, because typically in this type of comedy, when it has so many gags in it, you know, you enjoy watching it, but you don't really get that invested in it. But this totally hits on both aspects for me.
And everything comes down to a popular stereotype at the time was kind of Valley Girl, and Mona Lisa being Italian American, Brooklynite, but yet somehow California Valley Girl at the same time. Except that's just on the surface. She's actually really smart and clever and knows what the fuck she's talking about. And the way they just, I mean, the first time you see her, I bet the Chinese food here is terrible. Like, you know, like she's just so Valley Girl. and then she's the one that saves them.
Yeah, and she's brilliant.
Yeah,
like her, not only her character, but like the way that Marissa Tomei delivers that whole closing, argument for the defense is amazing.
Her answering Trotter's question, right? The trick question. It's a bullshit question. No one can answer that question. The way she delivers that answer she keeps turning between the judge, Trotter, and the jury, and just keeps flipping back and forth between the three. But yeah, this movie is probably why I had a crush on Marissa Tomei for a while.
Yep, I feel like that was pretty much every person in the '90s that saw this. Like, how could he not? She's just amazing in this movie.
And she's so happy at the end of the movie when she does it. She's up on the stand, like the little thing she does with her hands and everything. She's so happy that she finally got to help because she's been trying to help the whole movie and no one would let her.
I love that bit where Joe Pesci thinks he's like pulled this like sly move on the prosecution.
Wow,
getting
that's
files
some impressive finessing.
when they're legally obligated to do it.
Yeah, you want to know why he gave you his files? I just told you. He has to.
He's so proud when he struts into the hotel room with the files, and he's like, I got the files, all of them.
You stole his files?
I love that line. That's probably one of my laugh out loud moments. You stole his file.
When he's like closing the door with his foot, and he's got that stupid dopey grin on his face. He's so proud.
Yeah.
And I love how she just keeps bailing him out of jail, and eventually he's just like, no, I'm gonna get some sleep tonight. And then there's a prison riot, and he sleeps through it like a baby.
Now I ask you, would you give a fuck what kind of pants the son of a bitch you shot you was wearing?
You put your little deer lips down to the brook to take your little deer drink, and then bam, a bullet rips through your brain. And the look on Joe Pesci's face, like, oh God. Now I ask you, would you give a fuck what kind of pants the asshole was wearing? Oh, it's so good. I love this movie so much, Geoff. I was so excited to talk about it.
Like I said, no notes. I don't see a problem with anything. I think it all works. I think the characters are likable. Dude, at the end of it, when they get them out of jail, and Ralph Macchio, like his character just can't even think of what to say. He's just so happy and thankful, and he's like crying, and he's like, you're just like, it's so heartwarming, man. It's like, you're like, oh, it's like it's happening. Like the whole time he can't even that Joe Pesci can't even enjoy the moment because he's trying to get the fuck out of town before the judge figures it out. Yeah, this is genius.
Callow with a C. He's like, all right, we're gonna figure this out right now, and he picks up the phone.
Yeah, man. What a great fucking movie. I almost don't have anything else to add. I'm gonna be honest. It's like I said, no notes. I probably one of like the best constructed movies we've had in the podcasts.
Geoff, the way Marissa Tomei delivers that line, she's like, Jerry Gallo, the famous attorney? Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was just in the news last week. See, I'm telling you, the guy's always in the news. Yeah, you didn't actually read the headline, though, did you? No, why? Because he's dead, you moron.
One of the judge's best lines, just like a great delivery, too, is like, do you two know each other? Yeah, she's my fiance.
Oh, that certainly
explained the hostility.
Oh, it's so good. Everything about this movie. This movie is a solid 10 for me.
Yeah, it's great. Also, by the way, did you know that goddamn Joe Pesci had a fucking album based on My Cousin Vinny's character that he portrayed? Did you know about this?
Do what now?
Yeah, there is let me find it, but it is crazy that he did because apparently Joe Pesci was a fucking lounge singer. Did you know this?
No.
Second studio album from actor and singer Joe Pesci is Vincent LaGuardia Gambini Sings Just For You.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is a thing that exists. I'm gonna go and text you the link while I describe a little bit about it, because this shit is bonkers that this exists. But he's in character for the album cover. He's dressed up. He's got the red fucking suit, dude, from My Cousin Vinny.
Does he really?
Yeah, he does. It's crazy. This came out in 1998. Its genres are comedy, jazz, blues, and hip hop.
No.
Yeah. This is a thing that exists, dude. Before becoming a professional actor, Pesci was a lounge singer. When he announced his retirement from acting in 1999, he pursued a further career in singing.
Well, I
He remained
can't even
retired for 7
imagine.
years. I gotta listen to this, dude. I gotta listen to this shit.
Is it spoken word, or is he actually singing?
I think he's actually singing.
Because William
he was a
Shatner.
live-
William Shatner has that spoken word album, and what's oh fuck, what is his name? I had it and I lost it. Joe Friday from Dragnet, the original series.
I'm not sure.
Oh, it's gonna kill me. I have to look it up. Dragnet.
But yeah, there's 14 fucking tracks on this album, dude. I have
Jack
to listen to
Webb.
this whole thing. I gotta listen to this album, dude.
No, what
I
you
don't
need
know
to
what the
listen
fuck it
to.
is.
What you need to listen to is you need to listen to Jack Webb. It has to be on YouTube or somewhere. There's a podcast I listen to every Friday, Sergeant Joe Friday, and they always play a clip from Dragnet or Jack Webb's. He has a spoken word album where he takes songs and just says them. He doesn't sing them. He doesn't anything. Some of them are like romance. Some of them are just whatever. But it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so impressively bad. Just it's as bad as William Shatner's one album that he put out. They're all just spoken word stuff. Jack Webb, you need to look it up.
Okay.
I don't know the name of the album, but oh, it's so bad. If you've ever seen Dragnet, imagine Joe Friday doing a spoken word album. That's essentially just what it is.
Holy shit! Did you know Joe Pesci is 80 now? I didn't realize he was that old.
Yeah, that's why you don't see him around much anymore. I love Joe Pesci. I always think of this, and like you mentioned Lethal Weapon, but I also can't help when I think of Lethal Weapon of thinking about John Lovitz played his Lethal Weapon part in Loaded Weapon. He pops up in the backseat of the car. He's playing the Joe Pesci role from Lethal Weapon. It's amazing. Have you seen Loaded Weapon 1?
Yes, I have. It's just been a long time.
Well, with your affinity for the Mighty Ducks, I would hope you've seen it because Emilio Estevez is the main guy. Oh, dude.
Oh, boy.
Well, that is on my list to have on the show sometime too, along with Airplane and Hot Shots and all of them. I love that entire genre.
We quote scenes from Hot Shots, especially all the time.
They tied my shoelaces together. Those bastards. He has to carry him out because his shoelaces are tied together.
Comedic gold, and I will hear nothing to the fucking contrary, dude.
Replace most of my intestines with hemp.
Yeah, I think it's probably gonna go down as one of our shortest episodes, though, because like we said, it's a 10 out of 10. I don't know what the fuck would you have the audacity to change in My Cousin Vinny? Like it's just it all works.
Yeah, just go watch it. That's all you gotta do.
Watch it. It's funny as fuck.
It's on HBO.
Yeah, HBO
there's plenty
Max.
of reasons to have HBO. This is one more of them.
Yeah, so good.
At some point, I want to revisit Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag. I loved that movie as a kid. I don't know if it's actually any good or not.
What is it about? I actually have not seen that one.
He is a mafia hitman, and he kills these 8 mafia, like, big guys, right? Big guys in the mafia. He kills them, takes their heads, puts them in a duffel bag because his boss is taken over, and he wants these guys dead, and he wants their heads. And his duffel bag gets switched with the... What's the other guy with the other wet bandit?
Oh, Daniel Stern?
Yeah, his bag gets switched with Daniel Stern's. So Daniel Stern has the heads, and he has to track down Daniel Stern and his wife on vacation to get his duffel bag back.
Okay.
Yeah. It's otherwise it's going to be his head if he doesn't do it. So,
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that one. I haven't seen it.
There is a scene where he takes the heads out of the bag and places them across the top of the dresser. And in the middle of the night while he's sleeping, he has a dream where they all the heads wake up and start singing Mr. Sandman. And every time I think of every time I think of that, I hear that song, I think of that movie because there's just these 8 heads going bum 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 bum.
Isn't it funny how like one song can become just permanently fixed to one scene from a show or movie just for all time in your brain, and you can never detach the two?
I have PTSD anytime my kids sing or play anything that has Twinkle Twinkle Little Star because of Dead Space.
There's a song in a recent horror movie I watched that is now permanently ruined because of how genius the usage of in the movie is. I won't say because I actually think I might have it on the show at some point because it's pretty fucking bonkers, dude. Have you heard of that Barbarian movie? Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Holy fuck. That movie. If I ever pick it, which I probably will because it's just one of those, you gotta watch it, you gotta fucking talk about it.
Hey, here's one recently. Gone in 60 Seconds, Lowrider.
Yeah, for sure. If I ever pick Barbarian, don't look up a single thing about the movie because you do not know what the movie's about until you watch it, and it's a trip. Like,
is it an alien movie, Geoff?
No.
Should I clarify that statement?
Yeah.
The first time Geoff and I hung out, we went to go see Prometheus in theaters, and I had no idea it was an alien movie. That my head exploded, and Geoff was just like, "How did you not know? You work at a movie theater."
Yeah, not only was it an alien movie, it had been in production for like 15 years as an alien movie.
But
so like, dude, you fucking dodging that spoiler like fucking landmines in Desert Storm, dude. Like, what the fuck?
So when we see the space jockey, I'm just like, pardon? Pardon me?
What?
Yeah.
So funny, dude.
That's me.
And you got the best experience because of it. Like,
I like that movie. Everyone hates it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's an alien movie.
Yeah. I mean, there's some dumb shit. But you know what? When the two idiot scientists die, we just call them the Ron and Geoff of the movie, have a laugh about it, and keep on trucking.
That used to be a meme between us. Like, well, found us in the movie. And it all goes back to Prometheus because, like, that would be you and me for no reason taking our helmets off.
Looks at obviously murderous alien creature. Oh, hey, little buddy.
Here, stick your face inside this egg. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see no negative outcomes from the situation.
What could go wrong?
And that's how Ron and I would be voluntarily confessing to a murder in a convenience store in Alabama. It all comes around to Ron and I being idiots.
So circling back to that, I think one of the most Ron and Geoff conversations that you could possibly have is in the convenience store also. When it's like, but beans make you fart. We have a convertible. Like, all right.
It checks out.
Like, you see him literally doing the math on eating beans in a convertible, and then he's like, okay, well, I'll get it for myself then.
Another conversation that is totally something that you and I would say like verbatim is when they're getting the cop is behind them, and one of them is just like, no, it's okay, it's all gonna be fine, it's all gonna be fine. The other guy's just like, fuck no, it's not. What are you talking about? You know what the age of execution is? Yeah, it's just like also something we would say. The whole opening is just like really, really funny because it's like, it's tragic because they could literally be executed because of a misunderstanding, but it's also just funny as fuck because it's just like, yeah, it's so like insane that it could totally happen in real life. It's just that level of ridiculous that something similar has fucking happened in real life.
I love when it cuts to after you find out what's really happening, and then it cuts to Stan. Now information Stan doesn't have. And just how dismissive he's being when the cops are like literally doing the good cop, bad cop thing, putting the spotlight on him. He's just like, okay. When they told him he's going to go down as an accessory, he's just like, okay, whatever. Like, yeah, just apparently I'm being booked as an accessory to tuna theft. No, this isn't about tuna. All this for a can of tuna.
Love it. Okay, Rod. Like I said, I don't have much else to add. Any other tidbits of the movie that you want to talk about before we kind of sign off?
No, I can't really think of it. We hit all the the high points. I didn't have any low points. So other
Yeah, go
than
fucking
the
watch
movie
it.
ends.
Yeah. Man.
And if this movie was made today, there'd be like 5 of these movies. I'm so happy
Absolutely.
we just have the one. As much as I love this movie, there's no reason to go back.
Yeah, you can't, because like the whole, to me, the whole point in the movie is Joe Pesci realizing just like the belief in himself. He's like, I got this. Give me one shot. I got this. After just like fucking up so many times, like his character, like he has a character arc. You know, it's a goofball comedy in the early '90s with Joe Pesci, but there's like a legit character arc to him that's like really compelling. You know, that like you get sucked in to the results of the trial for a reason, because you're along for the ride. You're seeing him fuck up. You're seeing him get better. You're seeing him realize that there's no shame in accepting help from Mona Lisa. You know. And it's just like a
and then
really
you'll
cool...
have to say thank you. Oh my god, what a fucking nightmare!
Yeah,
having to go up to someone and saying thank you.
It's like, yeah, thank you. What's the director's name? Was it Jonathan Lynn? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Like, thank you for fighting like tooth and nail to get Marissa Tomei for this, because man, just amazing. They're so good together.
When she popped up in Civil War, and Tony Stark is hitting on Aunt May, I was like, I'm with you, Tony. I'm absolutely with you, because I'm still in love with her from this movie.
She was a brilliant choice for Aunt May.
Absolutely. I also liked having a slightly younger, more trendy Aunt May too. Because the thing that's I love Aunt May. Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel character. The thing that's always weird to me is like she's more like his grandma than his mom most of the time.
Yeah.
So the current trend of like the PS4 game and the MCU version of Aunt May and everything, where she's younger and she clicks better with Peter, like it just I love the trend that's taking, and she was a brilliant choice for Aunt May.
Yeah.
It
was also just like just a really, really bizarre casting choice with the Tobey Maguire ones, because Tobey Maguire constantly looking older than Aunt May herself. Always just a really crazy outcome to those characters, just selections for acting, but it worked out in the end.
I wanted to close out with the poster. I love this. There have been many courtroom dramas that have glorified the great American legal system. This is not one of them. My Cousin Vinny.
That's a genius tagline.
And then underneath My Cousin Vinny, it says real small, a comedy of trial and error. That is one of the greatest lines I think I've ever seen on a poster.
That is a chef's kiss right there. That's just fucking gold.
Right?
Like, kudos to that. Like, everyone fucking showed up with this movie, all the supporting cast, the leads, the script is great. I think the editing, as far as like what they decided to keep in to keep the pacing really, really like well paced throughout. It never is like sometimes you watch, especially if you go back, a lot of 90s courtroom movies are fucking slogs if you go back and try to watch them now.
It feels like you're the one on trial.
You feel like you're the fucking jury that's being on jury duty for 30 fucking days on a trial you couldn't give less about,
Try 'em. She'll do. Yeah. Dude, a comedy of trial and error. And the poster is him and Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa's taking a picture, and in the background is Fred Gwynn just staring at them angrily.
That's another like really, really cool bit, is how important them taking pictures is.
Right?
It just seems like a funny little character quirk.
She just happens to have the picture from the sack of suds that she needed.
All like there's a lot of sleight of hand as far as like what is important plot elements that you're seeing take place, but you don't realize it because it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other because you don't process it as you want to know who does that really well nowadays is Rian Johnson. You'll see stuff in like a Rian Johnson movie, not even outside of like the obvious like selections like like your Glass Onion, your Knives Out and stuff, but in all of his movies you'll see stuff that is important but doesn't feel like it. And when you can like just subtly have important plot details that don't come across as important plot elements, I always think that's really good writing, because you always hate watching a movie where you feel like you're getting like beaten over the head with detail, and it's like, oh, okay, well now I know who did it, I think people just don't hide it that well.
If memory serves, I think the only time that they kind of foreshadow something being important that doesn't seem important is in the diner after he pisses off Mona. The camera pans to the photos, but the photo of the tire marks is not the one front and center. They're just scattered, and it is one of the photos.
Yeah, it's cool.
So you don't know which one, but you do know that at that point they do, for whatever reason, pull back the curtain a little bit on that one. You got it, honey. The case cracker. Me in the shower. Why didn't I think of this?
Yeah, and they do a good job too, kind of. So he is being an asshole to her, unjustifiably so. But you understand the pressure. He's trying to keep his cousin from being killed.
It's not without reason. Like, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, like, he's being a dick. But you understand. He's being a total asshole to her when she's just trying to help. But you understand why, and he talks about it. You know, he has all the pressure in the world.
He's
human.
Like,
yeah, like this would be a lot of pressure if he knew what he was doing.
Right.
But while he's under all this pressure of trying to figure out how to save his cousin's life, he also just like he would be struggling to figure out personal injury, attorney shit right now. Like he'd just been that type of attorney for 6 weeks. It wasn't even like he had just been, in this, and they're completely different fields. Like it's like he was, he was practicing to be like a fucking, minor league player, and then all of a sudden he's up in the big leagues. It's just like, what do you do? And he's just trying to figure it out. But I liked how they kind of they bring their relationship back together towards the end, like when they're back on good terms.
Yeah.
Even though he's been a complete prick for the last 45 minutes of the movie to her.
Oh, you think I'm gonna marry you now? Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, go fucking watch it, because
just do it.
Absolute gem. One of the one of the best comedies of the 90s, I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah, I am so glad that you enjoyed this movie as much as I do, it seems, because this is one of my all-time favorites. I could watch it again and again and again, and I have.
That
I think I found my new Twitter banner.
Oh man, yeah, that's one of the scenes, dude, where I was like, oh man, this hits different now. The fucking cops, dude, those fucking,
they're all inbred down here. That's the look he gives him. Oh man, dude.
Yeah,
we're getting to the point we're talking in circles now, but
yeah,
I mean, come on, it's My Cousin Vinny. What else are we gonna do? It's a courtroom drama. It hits all the tropes while also elevating the genre. Just go watch it. HBO will have a free trial sometime. Just sign up, go watch it.
Go watch it. It's great. I'll do a quick series of plugs real quick for the social media links and everything, and then I'll announce the next episode. So if you like the show, you can always check us out more on Twitter. We're, as previously mentioned, at SPR Filmcast for show updates and just the occasional stuff that we'll retweet that we find on the interwebs. So always follow us there. If you found us on whatever platform, any ratings or reviews on whatever platform you found us on always helps us out. Let's see. I think that's just about it. You share it out with your friends. If you have someone out there that loves My Cousin Vinny, and if you know humans, I'm assuming somebody likes My Cousin Vinny, because I remember once Bobby figured out this was the next episode, he had like a fuck yeah moment too. Cause who doesn't like My Cousin Vinny? It's just one of the classics, man.
Oh
yeah. So the next episode, Ron, I'm gonna keep it in the 90s. Okay. Keep it in the 90s. Another early 90s classic. We actually talked a little bit about the property earlier, but not this exact entry. We're gonna cover Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh.
To commemorate the passing recently, unfortunately, of Kevin Conroy, because no celebrity death has ever hit me like the passing of Kevin Conroy, and I feel like we really need to have this on the podcast, just as any excuse to revisit this wonderful movie, and just what a legendary series of performances that just never disappointed was Kevin Conroy as Batman.
Ironic too, because I was just talking about how I'm watching Batman '89 right now, and both movies have to deal with the origin of the Joker.
Yeah. And like Mask of the Phantasm probably handles it better than any of them, yeah, as far as like
Yeah?
actually having like an origin that doesn't piss off fans, because that's a delicate subject, because a lot of people hate it when you have any origins for him. And
And
I think they expertly do it with Mask of the Phantasm. What were you gonna say?
I said, and I'm sure we're going to go into it in the episode, but
Yeah,
that callback in Justice League Unlimited to Phantasm was so good.
so good, dude. Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's been several years since I've seen Mask of the Phantasm, so I'm excited to have an excuse to revisit it. I've also just been wanting an excuse to go back and rewatch the show. I believe I picked up the remastered like Blu-ray sets of the animated series. I need to.
I believe you did. I'm pretty sure you sent me a picture of it when you did.
Yeah, I don't know if those are the versions that are on HBO Max, but I'm fairly certain Mask of the Phantasm itself is on HBO Max as well.
I'm
so yeah,
pretty sure at least my box set. I had the DVD box sets. The ones on HBO Max, the entire series is there, but it's not in the same order as my box sets.
Oh yeah,
it's in a different order.
They changed it from airing order versus what was like the original intended order, I think. And I just confirmed, Mask of the Phantasm is on HBO Max, so you can check it out there.
I think are all four of them? Isn't there 4 BTOS movies? Aren't they all there?
Probably. They have a giant selection of the animated stuff, like both modern and some of the more classic stuff from the 90s.
Also, we talked about Flash earlier. Flashpoint Paradox is on there too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, good movie.
Yeah, very good movie.
Yeah,
a lot of reasons to get HBO.
Yeah, they got some good stuff on there.
Turns out HBO.
One show I've also been wanting to revisit and watch all the way through, because I never actually watched all of it. I just caught like a decent chunk of it. The like early to mid aughts Teen Titans. I always really liked the one with Ron Perlman as Deathstroke.
That's Teen Titans, not Teen Titans Go, right?
Correct. Like
okay.
the non-chibi version of it.
Yeah. I fucking love Teen Titans.
Yeah, it was a great cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, where else do you get Ron Perlman as Deathstroke? That's pretty badass for a fucking kids cartoon, dude. Fuck yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of good people that go through BTOS, Superman, Justice League Unlimited, Teen Titans,
Batman Beyond.
There's a whole host of people that came through and did voices, even if they were one-offs. It's crazy the respect that those series all carried, because every one of those, either at least in some part, had the same team as BTOS, right? Even if it was just Paul Dini here and there, or Bruce Timm or whatever. But my God, Andrea Romano also, I believe, was voice director on all of those series. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was on all of them. And
I think the only one that might have had different teams was the Teen Titans show.
Mm-hmm. Was that
like
about the time she went into retirement?
I think so. I think the big run between Batman and Superman, Beyond, and then the Justice League cartoons, I think was all her.
And everything that those shows did for the mythologies, my God,
cannot be overstated enough. It's just like,
did I tell you I started playing Arkham again, by the way?
You did, yeah, because I made that joke about how you were never going to be able to kill Deadshot because he glitched in your fucking game like 10 years ago when the fucking game came out.
I'm in Arkham Asylum right now. The kids are watching me play it off and on. I mean, at this point, the shit that they've seen in the MCU and some of the shit in like the Miles Morales game and the Spider-Man game.
I forgot to ask. You watched Endgame with them, right?
Oh yeah.
How'd they take that? Because that could be just devastating to their entire development as a human. You know, when they fucking killed Iron Man, bro. Like,
not as big a deal as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like the death of Optimus Prime kind of moment. Yeah, they reacted to it all sad and stuff, but it seemed like as soon as we got past the funeral, they seemed confused by the concept of a funeral.
I can see that.
But yeah, we after the funeral scene was over, we just kind of moved on.
Gotcha.
I was shocked. I thought it was going to be absolutely horrible. That's like Nathan's favorite character, so.
Yeah, I was concerned after you said it was his favorite, because it's just like, Especially you think about. I'm assuming you guys watched like all of the movies prior to it.
Yes. Yeah,
So there's like none. If you watched everything, that's like 30 movies.
Yeah, they're on Shang-Chi right now.
There's a time investment in that. Like you've sunk like as many hours as you did over the course of several seasons of a show. Like
I think
shows.
it might mean more to you and me because one, we grew up without the MCU, and two, it took us 11 years to get to Endgame, and it took them a few weeks.
True.
Like when there was a big MCU movies, they're still an event, but they used to be a life-altering event for a while there. And like I would rewatch the entire MCU the week leading up to the new movie coming out. So
yeah,
these movies have been with you and me a lot longer.
Yeah, it's true. But we're also not kids. So I think back to like certain, like you said, like that was prime time for you. I think of like maybe like a like a different parallel of just something from when I was a kid. I'm trying to think back, but yeah, I could see that being like just devastating to a little kid. Yeah, but they bounce back. So
yeah, they seem to have bounced back, and we have the other movies. So
yeah,
where they're on Shang-Chi right now is their next one.
Yeah, and then they can watch the Eternals and give up all hope in humanity ever having good pieces of art.
I have this sick feeling in my stomach that's gonna be like their all-time favorite MCU movie. I don't know why. I think
you might have to put them up for adoption if that's the case.
If I know Nathan, it'll be in his favorites list just for the end, the very, very end, when you see the face in the sky. That's the kind of shit he's into. I think he's gonna really love the giant face in the sky.
That's fair, but man,
everything leading up to it though is not worth it.
Yeah, what a waste of Richard Madden, dude.
Yeah,
that sucks. Yeah, but this is not a review of the Eternals. Someone's gonna fucking pick that shit for fucking friends and family at some point. I'm gonna have to watch that shit again. I'm gonna be upset.
I would watch it before Christina's pick.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. You warned me that I was gonna be upset, and now I'm just like fucking quivering over here, like thinking about what monstrosity awaits us.
It's harsh, and she has like her next 5 choices made because of it.
Jesus,
she's doing the whole franchise.
She's got fucking Batman contingency plans in place for this shit, dude. Like, what are we dealing with? We're not prepared. But yeah, check out Mask of the Phantasm on HBO Max, and follow us on Twitter for the drop here in a couple weeks for that episode because I'm excited. I don't think have we had a Batman thing on the show?
I don't think so.
We have. Yeah.
I saw this movie.
We've talked about it like a 1,000 times because we're Batman nerds, but I don't think we've had like a specific Batman property on the show.
We've had actually surprisingly very little superhero related stuff for how much time we spend with superheroes.
Yeah, I think part of that is like intentional, like where it just became like such a dominant for you. I just haven't looked. We've had no Batman property on the show until now.
Yeah.
I think it's also just kind of like when superheroes have just dominated Hollywood for the last 15 years, I think we've intentionally kind of like sought out different, stuff from just very different genres. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. I saw this movie in theaters. So
you saw Phantasm in theaters?
I saw Phantasm in theaters.
Oh, you lucky bitch! I think I was a little bit too young.
It came out. When did it come out? Like 94?
93.
93? Yeah. So
I was 2.
I was 8 years old, 7, 8 years old. I was born in 85, so I saw Batman 89 in theaters when I was 4, several times, by the way. And then I saw Phantasm in theaters.
That's one of my favorite stories from Mark Hamill. Is he went to a theater to see Phantasm. I think that he said there was just like one other group in there with him. And just the idea of like somebody saw
having
Mask
a private
of the Phantasm
screening with Mark Hamill.
Yeah, somebody had a private screening of Mask of the Phantasm in 1993 with Mark fucking Hamill. And how cool that would be if you like stumbled into him and was like, is that Mark Hamill? Like, what a cool thing.
Yeah, could you imagine? There's a great line that Adam Savage has in Mythbusters because you know what Jamie Hyneman looks like with the mustache and the white shirt and the beret.
Yeah.
He looks like that all the time. They say that several times in the show. That's how he looks all the time.
Yeah, that's just him.
And they did a thing where they were in public and they got recognized like as they were filming the show. And then there's a point where Adam turns to the camera and he's like, I get recognized, and this is true, so much more with Jamie because I might be that guy from that TV show. He is that guy from that TV show.
Yeah, you can't mistake him.
Yeah. Fucking love it.
Yep.
All right, man. I think that's gonna do us. I am sending you something horrifying in the Discord. I couldn't help myself.
No. Nice. Oh yeah. People are curious what we're reacting to. Go look up Ron's Twitter banner right now. I just completely out of context. It's terrifying.
You should have seen it when I zoomed in. This is the fully zoomed out version.
Yeah.
I thought about just zooming into the eyes.
Those lifeless eyes, like a doll's eyes. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good night.